Good morning, my dear students, and I welcome you back to the English online classes. And last video, we people have completed the beautiful chapter birth, and I hope that you might have all very well understood the chapter and the model behind the chapter. Now I'm planning to take the fourth chapter from your supplementary reader, that is Snapshot. And this fourth chapter is again a very you can say that a very beautiful chapter which is imparting a good message to each and everyone who reads it, especially students like you people. It's especially for students. This chapter, the name is Albert Einstein at School. Now, Albert Einstein at School, written by Patrick Pringle. What is the greatness in this chapter? Actually, what education means? Definitely, when I ask this question, the question's answer will be education means to be informative, to be educated, to be knowledgeable, to become somewhat intelligent, to extract knowledge, and then get a job, maybe most probably a white collar job, to have a good life, lots of money, fame, etc. Everything depends on education. That's what basically is the picture of education. I think that's what the thing is in the eyes of everyone. But what actually education means? Does it mean only turning the pages of a pre written, predefined book? Or it means extracting knowledge from the surrounding? Make yourself informative and then become educated. My dear students, Albert Einstein, when he was at school, he made a realization. A revelation was made to him. He realized that reading what is already written in a book, mugging up what is already given in a book, is not education. According to him, his theory of education was totally different. He believed that the facts and figures means which are already known by somebody else and is been written down in the pages over there and became a part of your syllabus, that is not education. Education means creativity, ideas that takes birth within oneself, the urge, the thirst, the inquisitiveness of a person to know something, to dug it out, digging it more and more and then finding out. That is what is education according to him. I know basically the education system means mugging up what is given in the book and then getting a score in the mark sheet, and that helps us to get a good job and then settlement in our life. You remember that movie Three Idiots, in which there was one scene where Amir Khan spoke about what actually education is. It was, I think, the scene of an engineering college where the dean of the college he sits over there, Bhuman Irani, and then after that he asks Amir Khan to teach when there was a kind of a debate between him and Amir Khan regarding education is what. And then he asked everyone to close the book, and then after that he wrote something on the board, and he asked everyone to just let him know that what is that which is written on the board. And then what everyone did, they all opened the book, turned the pages, and they were just like madly searching out for that word which was displayed over there on the board over there. And then after some time Amir Khan said that it is nothing, it's a total zero, means nothing, because it don't exist in the book. And if you see carefully, it was just his friend's name he had written on the board in a little bit twisted manner. And then he said that that's what education is. Yeah, that's true. Just looking into the book and then mugging it up, that is not education. Education is to grab from the surroundings and to literate yourself. And in this entire process of difference between education and what actually education means, Albert Einstein was in one position when he was literally expelled, means thrown out of the school. But then he turned out to be a great physicist. Excuse me, please. You don't have that kind of a thinking in your mind that now because ma'am had said so and so thing about Albert Einstein, the great physicist, that he was thrown out of the school. He did not believe in education. He did not believe in studying what is there in the book. So we also should follow the same thing. No, no, it's not at all like that. I am telling you what real education means. See, now you are in school. Definitely, you are compelled to study what is there in the book, in your syllabus. You have to give exams based on that and you have to score good marks. But you must not forget to keep your eyes open to be really educated from your surroundings. That's what I mean. And that's what the chapter is about. So let's start the chapter. Chapter 4, Albert Einstein at School, by Patrick Pringle. Albert Einstein, 1879, died in 1955, is regarded as the greatest physicist since Newton. In the following extract from the Young Einstein, the well-known biographer Patrick Pringle describes the circumstances which led to Albert Einstein's expulsion from a German school. Okay, so Albert seems to be in a German school, and there was one such situation when he was expelled from the school, means he was thrown out from the school. The teacher asked him to be out of the school. So really it's going to be interesting to know that how this great physicist, the well-known, a renowned physicist after Newton, who became so famous in the world, had to be out of the school. What was the incident all about? So let's just go through it. In what year, Einstein asked the history teacher, did the Prussians defeat the French at Waterloo? I don't know, sir. Why don't you know? You have been told it often enough. I must have forgotten. Did you ever try to learn? Asked Mr. Braun. No, sir, Albert replied with his usual unthinking honesty. Why not? I can't see any point in learning dates. One can always look them up in a book. Mr. Braun was speechless for a few moments. You amaze me, Einstein, he said at last. Don't you realize that one can always look most things up in books? That applies to all the facts you learn at school. Yes, sir. Then I suppose you don't see any point in learning facts. Frankly, sir, I don't, said Albert. Then you don't believe in education at all. Oh, yes, sir, I do. I don't think learning facts is education. Okay, the starting is the blast. Now you just imagine your teacher is teaching. Oh, come on, let me take it on me. I'm teaching in the class, and I'm teaching in a class a topic which I have already thought, and the point that I'm going to ask, the question that I'm going to ask about that, I have answered to you, or I have explained to you many number of times, and then I ask one of you to just stand up and give the answer, and then you say that I don't know what could be the possible reaction of the teacher, means me. Obviously I'll be a little upset, angry, that why is it that my student is not able to give me an answer which is been explained to him or her many times in the class. But our Albert in this story is going to give a totally different answer for what has been asked. So let's see that. So it so happened one day, Albert's history teacher, which has been mentioned as Mr. Braun, is the history teacher, Mr. Braun, he asked Einstein, he said that, okay Einstein, you please tell me that when was the year, or which year did the Prussians they defeated the French in that very famous Waterloo battle? Albert, very casually, he said, I don't know, sir. Then Sir said that, how come you don't know? I have told you many times about it. Then answer, you see what he gives. He says that, oh, I must have forgotten. Then Mr. Brown, he asked, did you ever try to learn? Then Albert, means honest answer he gave, but that was too very honest and direct, I think, inside the class to a teacher. He said that, oh, no, sir, I never bothered to learn. Then Mr. Brown, he asked, why not? To that, he said, sir, actually, I don't see any use of learning that dates, because whenever I want, I can just turn the pages and look into the date. Why should I? Then Mr. Brown, now you yourself think, if you'll give this kind of answer to the teacher, then obviously the teacher will be speechless for a few seconds. And the same thing happened with Mr. Brown also. And he was quite speechless. And then he said to Einstein, Einstein, you really amaze me, you surprise me. Don't you know that everything that you learn in school is always there in the books? This is what happens with the facts. And you learn it in that way itself. Then Albert said, yes, sir, I know. Then Mr. Brown said that, I think that it means that you don't see any point in learning all those facts, all those books, all those matters. Then Albert said that, Sachi bolo, means frankly speaking. Yes, I don't see any reason or any kind of intelligence in learning the things which are already there in the book. Then Mr. Brown said that, oh, that means you don't believe in education. Then Albert said that, sir, I didn't say that. I do believe in education, but I don't think that learning facts means which are already there, which can be seen anytime, that is education. Okay, so this was from where this all started. Now let's see further. In that case, said the history teacher with heavy sarcasm, perhaps you will be so kind as to tell the class the Einstein theory of education. Albert flushed. I think it's not facts that matter, but ideas, he said. I don't see the point in learning the dates of battles, or even which of the armies killed more men. I would be more interested in learning why those soldiers were trying to kill each other. That's enough. Mr. Brown's eyes were cold and cruel. You don't want a lecture from you, Einstein. You'll stay in for an extra period today, although I don't imagine it will do you much good. It won't do the school any good either. You are a disgrace. I don't know why you continue to come. It's not my wish, sir, Albert pointed out. Then you are an ungrateful boy and ought to be ashamed of yourself. I suggest you ask your father to take you away. Okay, now when Albert said to the sir that, sir, I don't believe in education of learning facts to be an education, then the history teacher with heavy sarcasm, means like taunting somebody, no? Like that only, tana marteve. He said with a heavy sarcasm that, okay, in that case, perhaps you can just come forward and you will be kind enough to tell the entire class about the Albert's or Einstein's theory of education. Actually, it was a sarcasm. It was a kind of a comment on him, he was taunting him. And Albert, what was to be expected from Albert? It was expected that Albert must have said, sorry, sir, I should not be speaking to you in that way, etc., etc., and all those kind of things, asking for pardon. But instead of that, when the sir said that, okay, why don't you just come forward and tell the entire class about your theory of education, Albert first he flushed. Flushed here means blushing. No, that reddishness that comes, that is what is flushed over here. And then our great Albert, he actually started telling everyone about the theory of education of his. And he said that, see, I think that facts is not the thing that matters. It is ideas. And he said that now this Battle of Waterloo, I'm not interested. I don't think there is any point in learning that who won the battle and which army more number of soldiers were killed, etc., etc. But more important is to find out that why these soldiers were killing each other. Okay, why they were killing each other. Now, this was more than enough for Mr. Brown to take, and it was like the last strike on the camel's final strike on the camel's back. And then Mr. Brown, he just exploded and he said that that is enough. After all, Albert was literally making fun of education and as well as of the teacher, and he said that we don't want, Mr. Brown, he said that we don't want lectures from you, Mr. Einstein, and you do one thing, you just stay back for one extra period, punishment. Okay, so one extra period you stay back, but I know that this extra period stay is not going to do any good to you, not to the school. And then even he called him a disgrace. He said that I don't even know why you come to school. To that answer, you know what Albert gave? He said that even I too don't wish. Means it's not my wish. History teacher got angry and he said to Albert, "तुम स्कूल ही क्यों आते हो?" तो you know what Albert said? अपनी इच्छा से थोड़ी आता हूँ sir. This is what the answer he gave. Yeah, and Mr. Brown got even more irritated and he said that you are an ungrateful boy and you should be ashamed of yourself. Why don't you ask your father to just take you away? That's what he said to Albert. Now, further, Albert felt miserable when he left school that afternoon. Not that it had been a bad day, most days were bad now, anyway, but because he had to go back to the hateful place the next morning. He only wished his father would take him away, but there was no point in even asking. He knew that what the answer would be. He would have to stay until he had taken his diploma. Okay, the whole afternoon he was feeling very miserable. You might be thinking, oh, poor child, whole day he had been getting scolding from his history teacher and then an extra period. Definitely the child will feel, any student will feel very miserable. No, 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 no. That was not the reason why he was feeling miserable. He was feeling miserable because it was a bad day. Actually, most of the days used to be bad. But you know, actually, why he was feeling miserable? He was feeling miserable because the next day again he has to come to this hateful place called a school. And again he has to face all those things the next morning. That was the reason why he was feeling miserable. Not because he got scolding from his teacher and all those beautiful adjectives added to him, ungrateful, disgraceful, etc., etc. He wanted to tell his father that please take me away from the school. I don't want to study here. But he knew that what could be the possible answer. His father will say that no, you have to stay there till you get your diploma. Okay. Now, this paragraph, the coming paragraph is going to tell us about the situation where he's, or the house where he's staying and why he don't approve of it and all. Going back to his lodgings did not cheer him up. His father has so little money to spare that Albert had been found a room in one of the poorest quarters of Munich. He did not mind the bad food and lack of comfort or even the dirt and squalor, but he hated the atmosphere of slum violence. His landlady beat her children regularly, and every Saturday her husband came drunk and beat her. Okay, going back to his lodgings means where he was living. It never helped him to make his life enlightened. Okay, he always used to feel sad. He was never cheerful. Like after the school, when you go back home, you're very happy now. There was nothing that made him happy going back to the place where he was living. The reason is after his school, maybe school money and all, his father was not left with much money to give him a very good atmosphere of living. So somehow they had found a room in one of the poorest areas of Munich. Okay, and actually Albert never had any problem with the food or with the lack of comfort or otherwise the dirt and the wastage or the dirtiness lying down here and dirtiness here and there. What he hated the most was the violence that prevailed in that slum area. The landlady, she used to beat, landlady, you all know who, the owner of the place. The landlady, his landlady, she used to beat her children from Monday to Friday. Daily she used to beat her children. Daily she used to beat. And every Saturday, her husband will come back. Maybe he was working somewhere or whatever, maybe. He used to come back fully drunk and then he used to beat her. That means not even a single day goes without howling and shouting in that area. So that is the violence he hated the most. Means Monday to Friday, mother beats the children, and then Saturday and Sunday most probably, husband beats the wife. Excuse me. This is how it is in the um, area where he was living. We will be continuing with the rest of it in the next video. So till then, goodbye, take care.